Did you know that Jay-Z, P. Diddy, 2 Chainz, and Rick Ross were sued in 2022 for brainwashing, slavery, and trafficking? Well, if you watched my video before it mysteriously vanished, you probably did know that. And now it's gone from the internet. Isn't that strange? Anyway, here I am to talk about it again because, girl, you're not going to keep me down. So let's pull that lawsuit back up. This lawsuit was filed April 21st, 2022, and it was filed in the Eastern District of New York. It was filed by a man named Ross Daniel Walker against Sean Jay-Z Carter and 3 other defendants. Who are the other defendants? I'll put the pictures up here with their information blurred out. But it is Sean Jay-Z Carter, 2 Chainz the rapper. What's his name? Tauheed Epps. Sean John Combs, that's P. Diddy, and William Leonard Roberts II, who is the rapper Rick Ross. Now, importantly, before I read any of the allegations in this case, I want to be very, very clear. The lawsuit has been dismissed. It's been dismissed as frivolous. So I'm just going to put a disclaimer right here, and it's going to stay there the whole video because I am not saying any of this stuff actually happened. I am not saying that this case shouldn't have been dismissed. Girl, maybe I would have dismissed the case. I really don't know. But here are the allegations, and knowing what we know today, seeing what we've seen, specifically what comes to mind is Cassie getting snatched up by the ponytail at the elevator when she was trying to put her shoe on and then kicked in the head and kicked in the ribs and kicked in the spleen and every other thing else. It just makes me wonder if this same lawsuit would have been brought today, would it also have been dismissed as frivolous? Perhaps, because I do have another video coming. It's like an hour long where some other people are making a similar type of allegation against Jay-Z. Not only Jay-Z though, y'all. I mean, they're suing Jeffy and the other Steen, the Steens and the Steins, if you know what I mean. Those two, who, and Jay-Z. So there are other people who have come out and made claims, and their claims were also similarly dismissed. Now, this case we're reading today, it was dismissed as frivolous before anybody had to actually come and say anything in their defense. And you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So what are the allegations in this Ross Walker versus Jay-Z, Diddy, 2 Chainz, Rick Ross case? Great question. Let's get into it. Now, what we're looking at is basically a questionnaire. You have to fill out a questionnaire when you are a pro se litigant, meaning when you're representing yourself. This is not legal advice. Please do contact a lawyer if you need legal advice. If you need legal advice, please contact an attorney licensed to practice in your jurisdiction, which I am not. I am not your lawyer, and I will never give you legal advice. Y'all know I have to make all these disclaimers because my videos just mysteriously are disappearing off the internet. What is going on? So if you're getting aggravated at disclaimers, I'm so sorry, but I just have to do what I have to do. So this is a questionnaire that this Ross Walker guy did fill out. And the reason for these questionnaires is just to make sure that the court actually has the jurisdiction to hear the case. So here it says, he is saying this needs to be heard in this federal court because it violates the federal human king laws. Human king harassed and intimidate. Use for conspiracy theory. Stole my art's ideas. Well, I don't know what in the hell the man is trying to say. I could probably try and fill in the lines. It is a little vague. It is a little ambiguous. And I'm starting to get the idea and the understanding of why it might have been dismissed. The defendant, Sean Jay-Z Carter. So if you go to federal court, you had to be suing for more than 75 grand, basically. He says, definition of character harassment, systematic racism. I'm seeking damage for and oppression. $20 billion. I don't know if he's saying 120 billion, girl, but this seems like a frivolous amount of money. I will have to say it seems pretty frivolous. I don't know if it's 20 billion or 120 billion. It's like a fantastical amount of money. You might believe he's owed that, but it does start to make sense why this case would have been dismissed. It seems like not realistic. You know what I mean? So now he's going to give a statement of the claims upon which he's basing this lawsuit. Let's see what he says. I seeking damage because I feel like I was being harassed. At the time I was homeless. I was made famous, and use and oppression used in lyrics and song, delete of memory used by many of his peers for song. I was being exploited, embarrass me, bodily waste discharged. Now I'm being marginalized and social and now I'm being blackballed. Psychological brainwash. I was called stupid and R-word by the person Jay-Z. Vulgar language to describe me. Used for slavery. Well, that's it. That's the whole complaint. So this was, like I said, dismissed. So let's look at that dismissal and see why it was dismissed. Real quick, what does it seem like if you're a judge and you're having to try and put together what's going on in this case? What does it seem like the guy's claims actually are? Well, it seems like the claims are somehow he was exploited, used for his artistic talents. Importantly, in my opinion, he doesn't make any claims about things, but he does say that part about human waste, whatever that was, what he said, human bodily waste discharge or something, girl, I don't know. But he doesn't say he was exploited. He's more talking about being used for his artistic talents, being used in a bunch of people's songs, being called vulgar language. So, I mean, it's not really far-fetched for me to believe that a famous person would use vulgar language. It doesn't make me surprised to find out that they may sometimes exploit homeless people. Am I saying that did happen? Hell no. I wasn't there, girl. I don't know. I don't know any of these people. But let's see why the judge dismissed the case. On April 21st, the pro se plaintiff filed 2 actions against these defendants. In one action, he alleged that he was being harassed and followed by people in the community. He also alleged he was being attacked in his sleep. In the other action, the plaintiff alleges human harassment and psychological brainwash. He seeks $20 billion in damages in each action. These actions are consolidated for the purpose of this order. Okay, so the judge tells us off the bat, this man is filing other lawsuits, and I'll let y'all know the man did file a bunch of them. He filed some against different people. He's filed some against the Department of Children and Family Services. He filed it against, I don't know, Jack in the Box. I don't know, a bunch of people. He's filed a lot of lawsuits around this time in April 2022. And just to reiterate, the man could be out of his damn mind. I don't know, okay? It looks like he can't really spell that good. Looks like his grammar's not that good. But girl, I mean, I got people in my family that's illiterate and they can't spell at all. That doesn't mean that they're liars. That doesn't mean that they don't remember something that happened to them. But I could see how in a federal court, it would make a judge think in an elitist way that that person maybe is less credible, just because, not everybody can afford an attorney. It's very expensive to hire an attorney, especially a plaintiff's attorney. And I can imagine 2 years ago, the climate for this type of case was different. Think about it. Recently, we've seen a lot of evidence coming forward and stuff like that. But 2 years ago, I mean, who wanted to sue Jay-Z? Kind of thing. So it might even been harder to find a Tyrone Blackburn type of person back then or whatever. Let's look at the judge's order. The judge said he filed all these lawsuits, but we put them all together, 2 of them at least here. In order to survive a motion to dismiss, a complaint must plead enough facts to state a claim to relief that is plausible on its face. A claim is plausible when the plaintiff pleads factual content that allows the court to draw reasonable inferences the defendant is liable for the misconduct alleged. Okay, and then they go on to say detailed factual allegations are not required, but you can't just make conclusory allegations. You can't just say the man is sacrificing baby goats on the full moon with Marina Mabrana. And I have no proof of it, but I just have a psychic vision of it. You can't say that. That's not grounds for, that's frivolous. But if you say, where you were, when you were there, what year it was, some defining characteristics, you got to kind of give some type of facts, factual allegations that a judge can actually go on. Otherwise I can understand you don't want to just have Jay-Z and P. Diddy dragged into court every time somebody wants to mention him in a lawsuit. I do understand that. Totally understand that. So let's read further. The plaintiff is representing himself. That's, you get this handwritten stuff. So the judge has to give more leniency than he would if the person had a lawyer. He has to be give a little more grace to the pleading, because this isn't a lawyer. This is just a man on his own. That's the rule in the justice system. The written rule, girl. I mean, it don't always get followed. The judge says, nevertheless, I must dismiss sua sponte if the action is frivolous, fails to state a claim, or seeks monetary relief against the defendant who is immune from the claim. Okay, sua sponte. It's very important that she says sua sponte. Why? Sua sponte means none of these people had to actually defend themselves in court. The judge just took one look at it and said, frivolous. Why would she do that? Let's read further. Even under the most liberal view, meaning even giving the most grace, the most good faith, the most leniency to this filing, the plaintiff's claims are not credible, and they are factually frivolous. And what does that mean, factually frivolous? Well, it means that the facts alleged rise to the level of irrational or not credible. And it says whether or not there are judicially noticeable facts available to contradict them. So basically what this means is, even though the plaintiff has to provide some type of facts upon which to base their lawsuit, the judge doesn't actually need any facts to dismiss it. That's what it says. Whether or not there are judicially noticeable facts, so facts which a judge can take note of, whether or not there's facts that the judge can take note of, she or he can dismiss your complaint. And I think that's a big failure of the legal system in general. Maybe that is what needed to happen in this case. I'm not talking about this case specifically. I'm talking about general. Did y'all know that? You, in order to sue somebody, have to have these facts, which you may not actually have, but a judge can dismiss it without those facts. I knew that, but I kind of forgot it until going back over this case. So she basically is saying the man is irrational. The man who is claiming that he was a homeless man that was abused by the industry, irrational, and I don't need any facts for that. I'm just, as the judge, just going to say that and dismiss your case. Look, she goes on to describe it fanciful, fantastic, or delusional. For the reasons set forth above, the complaints are dismissed as frivolous with leave to amend. Now, when I really think about it, what's so frivolous about it? The $20 billion seems a bit much. Some of the allegations that the man is making, they do seem unbelievable. But you know what else seemed unbelievable until just a few days ago? Almost like people refused to actually believe it, even though it actually did happen. P. Diddy manhandling Cassie. And P. Diddy is listed in this lawsuit as a defendant. So, knowing what we know now, it just makes me wonder. Maybe there was no harm, no foul of this lawsuit. Maybe none of this stuff actually happened. But from a legal perspective, this is not legal advice, just a legal analysis. From a legal perspective, the judge just took a guess, really. Let's say we live in a dimension. Let's do a thought exercise. We're in thought exercise land, okay? Let's say we live in a dimension where Jay-Z, P. Diddy, Rick Ross, or 2 Chainz, any of these people, any of them, actually did abuse a homeless man. Anyone, not just this one, just anyone. And use their intellectual property and use their artistic talents for commercial gain. And let's say that formerly self-described homeless man sues. Can he get justice? Looks like no. I'm not saying that happened to this man. This has been dismissed. This has been dismissed as frivolous. But the judge said, I don't have any judicially noticeable facts, but this seems delusional. Case dismissed. And now I made a video about it yesterday and it's mysteriously gone. So what's that about? I don't know. I will say the judge did at least give him the opportunity to file an amended complaint, which I've seen other cases like this filed in federal court against similar parties, Jay-Z, Jeffy, Harvey, the Steens and the Steins. And in those cases, they're not even allowed to amend them. So I will say at the very least, the guy could amend it if he had wanted to. I don't know if he did or didn't. I came across this case yesterday in passing. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't trying to fall into this rabbit hole of it. Now that the video mysteriously disappeared, yesterday, now I am kind of thinking I should fall into this rabbit hole and I should look into these lawsuits because I have read about 3 or 4 of them between the years of 2020 and 2022 they were filed, and a lot of them are reiterating and readdressing some of the stuff we've seen in the Cassie allegations, in the Lil Rod allegations, in the girl from the yacht allegations. A lot of these allegations perhaps would have seemed not credible 2, 3, 4 years ago, but today, seeing what we have seen, hearing what we have heard.
I was f***ed up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, go into rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry, but I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Truly sorry.
Knowing what we now know, perhaps they weren't quite as frivolous as these judges who dismissed them sua sponte with no evidence and no judicially noticeable facts would have liked to conveniently believe. This is absolutely something that I will be following and keeping up with because, again, I was fine to just make a quick little video yesterday and move on. But now I feel like somebody doesn't want this to be seen. And now I'm going to make sure y'all see it. That said, maybe I'll post. I'm going to try and figure out how to post it on my website, this lawsuit, so y'all can read it yourself. That's all I really had for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation, and neither is reading publicly filed lawsuits. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.
Right now, because I know you're watching. I will be saying everything you tried to do to me.